Hello. Welcome to Season 10 of The Horrific Podcast. We're two friends who live in different places but share a love for scary movies. In each episode, we both watch the same movie on our own and then record a conversation together about what we liked, what we hated, if we were scared, and maybe even some larger truths about why people watch horror movies in the first place. This season, our theme is Because We Have the Microphone. And because we have the microphone, you will listen as we discuss a bunch of movies that we just kind of feel like watching with no rhyme or reason. Think of it as a collection of movies that we've referenced a lot in previous seasons or been curious about for a long time. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the episode. I mean, I was sold when I read Kung Fu horror.
I was just sold when I read Ninja.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I am in.
Yeah. Well, and there are lots of like Kung Fu movies, ninja movies and stuff that are kind of like dark and moody and have lots of violence and stuff. So I was kind of curious like how this one might stack up, but they definitely pulled in some horror elements and maybe like almost kind of directly copied some horror elements from other movies that were big in the 80s.
Right.
But it was fun. It was kind of an interesting take on sort of the classic Kung Fu elements alongside a lot of more kind of classic horror elements. And that was, I will say, a pretty unique experience from movies that we've watched.
Yeah, I think for me, it was just like when, you know, looking at the list before recording, is like these last couple movies we're doing is right up my alley. Yeah. So I was just like stoked to, it was like, just like a dumb puppy dog, you know, like I was just happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, again, your kind of famous saying is, I don't need a lot, just give me a guy with a knife who can't die and I'm happy.
Right.
And I feel like this one is probably delivered on that front.
Right. So I was going to wait until after the facts, but I loved it.
Excellent. I was hoping.
This is great. I was like so happy. Yeah.
10 minutes in, I was like, you're going to love this.
Right.
But, yeah.
And so I put off watching it because, you know, that's how I am. And then I was like, oh yeah, he said within the first 10 minutes. So I was like, either there's going to be a ton of action or boobies in this. And no boobies, but didn't need it. I was stoked anyways. So.
High praise from you.
Yeah, it was actually so good. I enjoyed it so much. But it was one of those where I think even Katie knew, like, don't talk bad about this while watching it because, like, I was just, like, in the zone. And I could tell she was not a fan of it. But it was just like, oh, yeah, this is it. This is the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, cool. I will do the intro. And then you can do your fun facts, if you found any, because I didn't find a whole lot on this one. Yeah. And then we will get into the ancient art of the detail.
So good.
In 1984, MGM UA Entertainment Company brought us Ninja 3: The Domination. This third film in the Canon Films Ninja trilogy was directed by Sam Furstenberg and written by James R. Syke. Tells the story of a telephone line woman named Christy who becomes possessed by the ghost of a ninja warrior who is obsessed with revenge against the police officers who killed him. After Christy falls in love with one of those police officers, it's a race against time as she tries to find a way to exorcise the demon that wants to kill the man that she loves. Also, there's another ninja with an eye patch who's kind of a good guy, sometimes and kind of a bad guy, other times, depending on the scene, it's a whole thing. Ninja 3: The Domination made over $7.5 million at the box office. You can currently watch it with a Starz or Paramount Plus subscription.
That's about $100 billion under what I would think that this movie would get at the box office.
Yeah. Maybe it made 7.5 million Bitcoins.
That's true. Or Canadian.
Ooh, or Australian.
That's true. Yeah.
What did you learn about this movie?
So the eye patch that the only guy who wears an eye patch in these films wearing is. So I noticed, I was like, that looks strange. Looks different, you know. Doesn't look like it fits too well. So what it was made from was I'm gonna spell it out, Tsuba, and I don't know if the T's silent like in tsunami. But so what that is, the Tsuba, is the guard of a sword. So his eye patch was the guard of a sword, which I just thought, I really like that idea.
It's on brand.
It made sense. It definitely made sense. Evel Knievel's son was a cop in this, a motorcycle cop, Robbie Knievel. If you don't know, he did stunts too, like Evel Knievel. Not nearly as impressive, but the swords in this movie were made from aluminum. I just want to point that out because one of my complaints about this was I could see the dents in the sword, which is how you know if I enjoy a film or not, if I'm nitpicky. But they're made from aluminum. I'm not a big fan of that. That was kind of dumb. And then the last part of this is there was a stunt coordinator. His name is Steve Lambert. He actually played 37 different parts in this film, or in the opening sequence with the Black Ninja David Chung basically going apeshit on a bunch of people at a golf course, and then had the entire police force gun him down. But Steve Lambert played 37 of those people in there. I hope he got paid well.
Does he get?
Yeah. But those are the fun facts I have about this film.
Nice. So yeah, this was interesting. This was a really unique movie experience. And it felt very much like an 80s action film. It felt very much like an old kind of kung fu movie. And it felt very much like something influenced by other popular 80s horror movies, which is all kind of a strange thing to mix together. And we've talked a lot of times about how sometimes a horror movie especially can try to over-explain things, which just works against it because it makes them less believable. This one kind of went the other direction in that it basically explained nothing in the beginning. It's like it opens with a ninja in a cave getting some weapons out of a secret compartment in rocks, and then he just goes to a golf course and kills a bunch of people and police officers.
Yeah.
And the moment when I texted you, like the moment I knew that we were in for a real treat with this one, was the scene where the ninja used the blowgun to blow a dart into the barrel of a real gun, causing to explode when fired. That was just like, the table is set, prepare to feast.
Brilliant. It was a brilliant move. It was, yeah. You start seeing, so here's the thing. I definitely see the horror aspects of this film, but I feel like maybe this late in the season or something, it doesn't necessarily even matter to me. I just enjoyed watching this so much so that after it was done, the question came up of like, well, why was this on your list? And it was like, oh yeah, what horror aspects? I mean, besides the obvious possession. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I should have thought of that. But yeah. It also, but I did think, like, should we have watched, like, was there a Ninja 1? Was there a Ninja 2? Like, should we have watched those? Like, my whole, basically, I'm off on Thursday this week, and I plan on watching all of them.
So from what I read, it's like an anthology series. So there are like 3 movies that were all made by like the same production company, but they don't actually have any overlap story-wise. And I could be wrong, but that was the way I interpreted what I read.
Oh, yeah. I'm in even more now.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to know things about things I'm what I'm watching.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, it was kind of weird in that it felt very low budget, and like most of the time, like the film was really grainy for anything far away, but it was like really clear when it was up close, which kind of threw me off. And then the violence was like not realistic at all. Like, it was funny because he would be like clearly not actually making contact, swinging the sword around, but then there would be blood all over the place, like in the next scene, like after the fact when they had time to stage it. Like, it just there were some things that didn't exactly line up super great. And but I also admired the creativity of it. So like when he jumps up on the helicopter from the palm tree and then like overpowers the men inside, and then throws a ninja star with his foot into the pilot's face and kills him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was also like, he was doing that, like, there was not a real, like, I thought when he would jumped up on the helicopter,
Yeah.
that he was like fixing to like take off in it and like get away. And like, no, that wasn't the purpose of it at all. Like, he was just out to kill at anyone.
Yeah.
And he wasn't about to stop.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this movie does start off with like without, knowing too much. And technically when, Christy gets, possessed, that's when you kind of realize what's kind of going on.
Yeah.
But no, man, I didn't need it. I was just watching like all the stars that were being thrown and like thinking like, how many pockets does he have in that?
Right.
Cause I have a gi.
Yeah.
That I like to wear on a motorcycle.
Yes.
And just to let people know, like, don't mess with me. There's no pockets in that at all. So my thought was, if he tucked in his belt, he's going to be poking holes in his tummy.
We think there are like rules about it in the U.S. Like you can't have a real ninja one or something.
I bet.
Concealed knives or something.
Yeah.
Anyway. Where did Christy live?
Like in a warehouse in a really bad part of town.
So in my notes, I had cinder block frat house with an arcade machine, lockers, some futons, and a payphone.
Right. Yeah. It was actually a pretty sweet deal.
It was odd.
Yeah.
Like there were just some weird things on that one that you just kind of had to like take at face value. And that was one thing that this movie, it was just like plowing ahead. And there were things that made no sense whatsoever, but you just kind of had to go with it. And they didn't really give you a lot of time to process it. And it didn't really ever come back up. So you're just like, oh yeah, I guess that's just how it worked. Like she was leaving her aerobics montage class and heard that woman being mugged by the group of men. And then she like intervenes and then they turn on her. And there's like a whole crowd of people watching all this happen. And like no one's making any effort whatsoever to like save the women who are being attacked. But then Christy ninjas them.
Yep. And
then Billy arrests her onto a date. Like,
yeah.
That was kind of different.
Well, yeah. I mean, 100%. And here's the thing. Like, you were saying, it's, not to take, the action or whatever. You have to take that face. Like, you have to take this whole movie at face value. You got to know, like, it's not going to make sense 100%.
Yeah.
But also doesn't need to.
Yeah.
Because this is like tying into like, KB, like, how can you believe that he jumped up from a tree and got on a helicopter? And it's like, this movie's about a girl becoming possessed by a ninja. Like, we're in the land of imaginary friends, basically, at this point.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. But tying into what you were just saying with the, so he takes her on a date, but then they have this fight, and then next thing you know, they're making love back at the house.
Yeah.
It was the most like he was like a creep
it was very
at the
choppy.
station, and then he was a creep there, and then like finally, maybe once he showed his true feelings, but it was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, it went from like, hey, no, this guy is legit creep, stay away from him, to like, oh, wait, you're pouring V8 down your chest, and wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just loved it. I loved every bit of it.
It kind of reminded me of an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger.
I can see that.
But like with way more action.
Yeah.
And it's kind of different.
Yeah.
You did learn important things like only a ninja can destroy a ninja. So that's just like good future information.
That's why I'm still around.
But yeah. But anyway, all that, lots of action, lots of like all over the place, not great acting. Right. But I wanted to talk about some of the horror stuff. Okay. And so there were a couple of scenes that to me felt very influenced by horror movies. One was when she is in the apartment and the fog is coming in, and then eventually it kind of starts pulling everything into the closet. And that felt very like poltergeisty.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things about that, but just the idea of this sort of creeping nighttime presence, because it wasn't just like a straight up haunting or like a possession type thing like you would expect. It had that same element of like something trying to get into the room or something trying to attack her, and it's sort of physical, I guess. Like there was that smoke that was coming and it was able to like pull the furniture and all of that. And I think that there's something interesting about that because she never, at least as far as I could tell, talked to anyone about that. And so I didn't know if that was supposed to be part of the time that she was blacked out, but she seemed to like remember it and want to resist it. And so it was just interesting to me, the idea of that element of the possession and like being able to feel it trying to take hold of you or coming on or like being this persistent thing and like actually being able to see that. Mm-hmm. That was kind of different, but also I feel like very much like in the horror vein.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think for me, once you figure out what she was going to be possessed by, because I think at this scene that you're talking about, if I remember correctly, like we weren't 100% sure what was going on. Granted, we didn't know 100% what was going on a lot of the time, but it didn't matter. But at that, speaking from horror, I think it was still kind of fresh. But like so the thought is, you have this ninja who honestly took a lot of shots before he went down, and even after that, clearly
more than just human.
Yeah, or just really hyped up on like PCP and meth. Which same thing, I guess. I've been told, but he's still, unstoppable. So the thought is like, wait, is she fixing to go from being this, good person to doing all these bad deeds? Because we still don't technically know why he was going after the police, or why he just went off at that golf course. Yeah. Dude just woke up and was pissed off at golf for some reason. The like most passive sport you can play. But so you're thinking like, oh God, is that, is she going to do this? And then it's like horror from two aspects. One, is she going to become unstoppable? And two, seeing the horror, what would happen to her life if she's the one doing the killings. Like she's the one going down for it, not who she's possessed by or whatever. So
yeah. And there was also the scene with like the exorcism, which felt like it borrowed very much from The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And so that was another one
but
that
I
thought
really
was
good though. Like I thought that was legit. Like, I mean, obviously borrowed, and bar scenes, voice change and stuff like that. But it was like legit, like horror.
It was intense. For sure. Yeah.
The voice was creepy. That you see the change kind of come over the eyes. Kind of had like the red around them. It was pretty pretty intense. So obviously borrowed from horror movies. Like that's 100%. No one can convince me otherwise.
Yeah. And so I'd kind of wondered what to expect when it's like a kung fu horror movie. And I think that it was heavy on the kung fu action and also kind of pulled some ideas or concepts. And it was interesting that it used the idea of like an evil ninja spirit being the possessor more so than, just like a demon or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of the movie was just kind of like set up for the fighting or for the creepy scenes of, sort of the possession trying to take her over. And so, or her like attacking people, like when she attacked that old cop at his house, that was pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was kind of the thing, I guess, closer to the end where Eye Patch defeats Christy, and then the spirit like leaves her and inhabits the body of another ninja, and then it like hypnotizes the ninja students, and makes them all attack. And that definitely felt much more kind of like in the supernatural vein, in like more like you're going against this undefeatable force, not just another person.
Yeah.
Which kind of felt horror-ish as well. But I thought the ending was much more in line with like a typical 80s like action movie or kung fu movie, in that, in the end, the evil force is vanquished and everyone lives happily ever after. It wasn't as much of like a horror ending as it could have been.
Yeah. I do like how well. So one kind of horror aspect. I mean, you have a pretty gal, So one of the scenes where she killed someone was in the hot tub, right, the jacuzzi or whatever, and like I feel like that. First off, could happen. I don't think that a guy that's just a cop could pull that attractive women like he did. He had 2 of them. But her, like, going in and, like, seducing and stuff, it's like, man, I feel like that would be the best assassin. Those types of killings. Mm-hmm. But they had these, like, pressure points that it seems like all these ninjas know, which first off hurt because I don't know them. I need to step up my game, but, like, they just have these points that, like, so she did that on him, which I don't know if it was, like, poison. Like, the guy in the jacuzzi, she's, like, stabbed him with whatever, and he ended up dying. She really killed the other 2. But then the eye patch guy did the same type of stuff in the cop car. And it's like, wait, are you killing them, or are they just going to sleep? Like, it was just kind of weird to figure out what's going on. And then I got to thinking... This is my thought process. So then I got to thinking, like, well, is this like would you save 6 people to kill 1 person, or 1 person to kill 6, whatever that, to see if you're a psychopath is like, is that what this is? Like, so yeah, he's killing 4 cops, but he's saving potentially millions of people from dying. I don't know.
You mean by like getting away from them to go after her?
Yeah, like he killed those 4 cops, but if he can save, Christy was only gonna kill more people as that guy. So technically, Eye Patch Dude deserves everything that this movie made.
I don't understand why Eye Patch just like gave himself up after that fight with her in the abandoned building.
I wondered, but I thought it was because he wanted to talk to her boyfriend. He said, like, I've been waiting for you or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
It'd also been cooler if he broke the handcuffs.
Yeah, right?
I thought he was going to. Like, when he showed them, I was like, he's fixing to snap them.
Yeah.
Nope.
But anyway, this one was fun. Like, if I had to describe it one way as a fan of horror movies, I would call this one fun. And it wasn't, like, intentionally a comedy or anything, but it was pretty lightweight, didn't have to think real hard, had lots of like payoff from the action side and sort of the violence side, and some decent horror scenes mixed in there as well. So it on the whole is pretty much exactly what I would want from a kung fu horror movie, and I feel like this is a good one to just like have on in the background,
Oh yeah for sure. I mean, look at the screen, chances are there's gonna be action going on. Go back to work, action. Go back to work, action. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I will also be curious to hear what you think if you do end up watching the first couple. Yeah.
I plan on giving a full report.
Excellent.
Yeah. The second one's called Revenge of the Ninja, and the first one is called Enter the Ninja.
Very descriptive.
I know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, all right then. Can you believe this is the next to last episode of season 10 already?
Flew by.
How did that happen? Yeah.
I don't know.
This one's been fun. I feel like we've had a lot fewer duds this one than we had in a while, which is nice. And we got around to watching a lot that we have been talking about for a long time. So we'll be back next week with Sleepaway Camp, which is our last episode, and then like last real episode, and then we'll probably do like a recap at some point and see where it goes from there.
Sounds good.
And that's it for today's episode. If you've listened this far, then thank you, and we hope you've enjoyed it. We're always looking for new ideas, so if you have any questions, comments, or movie suggestions, please send us an email at thehorrificpod@gmail.com, or feel free to comment on or message our Facebook page. Just search for The Horrific Podcast. Thanks for listening.